Hey, what's up everyone? It's Alex from modernhealthmonk.com. Today I'm going to share with you a really interesting psychological study. Now, actually it's a behavioral study, and they found 4 or 5 key things that separate people from people that maintain weight loss and maintain positive health changes after making them versus people that fail repeatedly. So I'm going to keep it short and sweet. These are really just successful weight loss, maintenance, and health. There are 4 or 5 key things that the people that successfully do it, what do they do differently, okay? So there's the maintainers and the relapsers in the psychological study. In the study, they took these 2 groups and they analyzed 4 or 5 key facets of their life. They wanted to see which of these might be influencing their weight and their health. What behavioral strategies? Remember, weight loss and health is about your psychology and your behavioral change, right? Your habits, not all these stupid diet tips and tricks. Now, the first thing they analyzed, not surprisingly, was exercise. So in the group that maintained their weight loss after a period of months or years, here's the percentage that exercised. 90%. Now, I'm going to ignore exercise for the time being because many of you already know that. That's not really that useful yet, right? That doesn't give you something very actionable. Let's jump into the next one. The next was the researchers analyzed how conscious the participants were of their behavior. So in other words, how mindfully they lived their lives, right, in regard to maintenance of their health or their weight loss. Here's the percentage of people that successfully maintained by being conscious of behavior. 90%. So 90% of the people that successfully kept their weight off and successfully maintained good health were employing strategies to be conscientious, be conscious of everything they did throughout the day, right? Of their eating, of how much they were eating, when they were eating, the social aspects of weight loss, right? At home, at work, in their social life. Conscious, right? Conscious of their behavior. The third thing they analyzed was social support. So we know that having friends dramatically makes it, you're much more likely to be successful if you have social support. And research has shown that you're about 3 times more likely to be successful. So if you don't have social support, you have about a 20% chance of maintaining weight loss after 6 months. If you do have social support, that shoots up to 75%. So what percentage of the maintainers had social support? 80%, okay? So the vast majority. The next thing the researchers looked at was, this is what I find really fascinating. Again, I focus much more on the behavioral, the psychology stuff behind weight loss and health, because that's what it's all about. They analyzed what percentage of people confronted their problems directly. Now, what does that even mean, right? Many of you know that weight loss is about life, right? If you're an emotional eater, how can a diet help you fix emotional eating? It can't really. It can stabilize blood sugar, but if you're emotionally eating because you have financial problems, or you're arguing with your spouse and you're going through a divorce, or if you're really unhappy at your job, you have to address that problem head on. That's why health is about life, right? Weight loss is about life. If you're not addressing it from an integrative point of view, integrative perspective, you're not going to be successful, chances are, right? Again, with the emotional eating, it's a great example. Some people it's boredom. Some people it's stress. Some people it's unhappiness. If they don't address those, whatever's causing those, they're going to continue to be emotional eaters and they'll suffer the negative health consequences. So what percentage of these successful people, the maintainers, directly confronted their problems? 95%. Now, isn't it funny that researchers put this seemingly intangible psychological quality as one of the key behaviors? Just think about that, 95%, okay? So the last thing here was that researchers found that people use their own individual personal strategies for maintenance, and they didn't give a good figure for what percentage. So let's look at the relapsers now. So the people that lost weight and then months or years later, it rebounded and came back, or they just went back to their old way of living. Now, let's look at weight loss, let's look at exercise. So what percentage of the relapsers exercised? 34%. Again, that's not really surprising. We're not going to really focus on exercise now because you already know that. That doesn't give you a concrete strategy to apply. The next thing they looked at was, remember this whole conscious of behavior thing? How mindful they were? The researchers found that they wanted to look at what percentage of the relapsers ate emotionally, unconsciously. Emotionally or unconsciously. So they were mindlessly eating in front of a TV, in their car. They didn't focus on the food and they weren't paying attention, okay? 70% ate emotionally and or unconsciously without paying attention to what they were eating and focusing on food, focusing on eating itself. Compare that up here. Only 10% were not conscious. Remember, 90% were conscious. 70%, 10%. That's a big difference, right? These people were very unaware, were not paying attention to what they were eating and the emotional triggers, the emotional origin of their eating. The third thing was what percentage of relapsers use social support, because we know it's very effective. Only 38%, right? Come up here to the maintainers that successfully maintained their good health, their weight, 80%, so almost double, more than double. And then finally, they looked at that one little psychological thing that we talked about before, that one behavioral thing. What percentage confronted their problems directly? Can you guess what it is for people that failed, the relapsers? 10%. 10% versus 95%. Now, that's what I want you to focus on, okay? Weight loss and optimal health are so much more about just what you're eating, how much you're eating, and how often you exercise. It's about the optimization and the integration of all the various aspects, various facets of your life. You probably know this, right? The researchers here found that only 10% of the people that relapsed confronted their problems directly, right? They were avoiding the hard work that they know they needed to do. And here, the people that maintained the weight confronted their problems directly. Now, here's what I want you to do, right? Here's your solution, your homework. I want you to do what I call the napkin technique. Now, the napkin technique is basically, you're gonna write down 3 columns, okay? The first column is gonna be social. Second column is gonna be emotional. Third column is gonna be behavioral. In the social column, I want you to write down home, work, and then leisure, okay? In home, you're going to be analyzing all the things about your home life. So if you're married or you're living with roommates, your spouse or your friends, how they may be influencing your health or your weight. So if you're eating great all week and you go home and you see junk food and soda and crap all over the place, it's going to be hard to keep your new habits, right? You're going to have to be using a lot of willpower and effort, which is very hard to do, very hard. The second column, right? So still in that first column, that's social. Then you're going to look at work. So at work, are you a businesswoman or a businessman? Do you have to go out to business lunches where you're schmoozing and eating a lot of takeout? Are you eating out a lot and drinking alcohol? How often do you have to do that? Do you have to go to networking events that involve these kinds of things? The next one is leisure. So are you the kind of person who every time you go out in your social life, it involves eating or drinking? After work every day at 5 p.m. to decompress, or on the weekend with your friends, is it always involving eating and drinking? If so, then that's the aspect of your life you need to focus on and optimize. Now shift to the second column. Second column is going to say emotional, right? So write it down. Emotional. Now what I want you to focus on is if you have some kind of emotional eating pattern, that's what you need to be focusing on and optimizing. Remember, it's all behavioral stuff, all psychology. A perfect example is the overworked daddy who works till 8 p.m. and he's so stressed and so tired at the end of the day, he needs his couple beers and his takeout to decompress. That's a very, very classic story. I've heard that in many, many different variations. If that's you, then that's what you need to be focusing on. That aspect of your life you need to optimize to maintain weight loss, okay? That's what you should circle and star and check. Now in the third one, I want you to put behavioral. So for example, many of us know what we should be doing, and we start for a little bit, for 3 or 4 weeks, and then we get derailed. And this is a very common repetitive pattern for months and years and decades, 30, 40 years, right? Some people are always on this treadmill. If you are failing to do that, if you're constantly doing this, then you need to circle this column, okay? You probably don't have accountability. You have no daily check-in process. If you, at the end of the day, if you are not saying, check, I did what I was supposed to, or blank, I didn't, guess what? There's no stakes. There's no reason for you to actually continue to do the good behavior, to engage these new habits, because there's no consequences if you don't do them. So go through this napkin method I've provided. Look at those 3 columns, right? The social, the emotional, the behavioral. Figure out which one is you. And then I want you to focus on optimizing that single aspect of your health and your weight loss, because that'll make it 1,000 times easier to actually maintain this in the long run. So that's your assignment here. I want you to go ahead and leave a comment below. Let me know what you think. If you're on YouTube, head on over to modernhealthmonk.com, grab the free starters kit, and I will see all of you soon.